Which defenses should you target and which should you fade for week 4 of the NFL season? We'll cover all of that in this week's episode of Pick 3 DST. As a reminder, these are not my full weekly DST rankings. If you want to check those out, you can click the link below, which will take you to my article, which I'll update as the week goes on, and we get weather concerns and injury updates and all things of that nature. We'll start, as we always do, with our accountability check from last week. My stud defense, the Browns, lost outright to the Giants, but they did put up 7 points for fantasy leagues, so it doesn't really kill you there. Our sleeper defense, the Packers, which was my number 1 ranked defense last week, finished as the number 1 ranked defense for the week, so that feels pretty good. And the defense we faded, the Chiefs, scored 4 points last week, which was a pretty solid fade. However, our solid defense, the Texans, put up just 3 points and got beaten pretty thoroughly by the Vikings, so we missed the boat on that one. So what does that do for our Week 4 picks? Well, my sleeper defense for Week 4 is the Miami Dolphins. Consensus has them down at 12th, but I have them as the 5th ranked defense on the week. The Dolphins have been pretty average this year, ranking 15th in my BOD rankings on the year. However, they rank 11th in opponent scoring rate and 10th in PFF's pass rush production rate, which takes into account quarterback pressures, quarterback hurries, hits, sacks, and things of that nature. Most importantly, they're going up against a Titans offense that gives up the most fantasy points to opposing defenses, averaging 18 points per game allowed. Last week, they allowed 8 sacks to the Packers and turned the ball over 2 times. This Titans offense leads the NFL with 8 turnovers through 3 games. So I think that this Dolphins defense, even though they have not really put up a bunch of turnovers this year, can cause a couple turnovers against Titans offense this week. And I expect that pass rush, which has been solid, to match up really well against the Titans offensive line that looked overmatched last week against the Packers. The Titans don't put up a lot of points, so I'm more than happy to roll defenses out against them, and that makes me feel pretty confident in the Dolphins this week. Before we get to my solid defense of the week, pause this video, comment below. Let me know which defense you're starting in week 4 or ask me any start-sit questions, and I'll get to those as the week goes on. My solid defense for the week is the Kansas City Chiefs. Consensus has them at 7th, and I have them as my 4th ranked defense on the week. Now, the Chiefs were the defense I faded the last 2 weeks, but we have to adapt as the NFL season goes on and we get injuries and things of that nature, and so that is a big reason why I have the Chiefs ranked this high going into a matchup against the Chargers, considering that Justin Herbert re-aggravated a high ankle sprain last week and could be out for this week, and the Chargers lost both of their starting offensive tackles in Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, who will miss this week. So that sets up as a really good situation for a Chiefs defense that has been just pretty average this year. They rank 15th in turnover rate. They rank 15th in pass rush production rate. They rank 23rd in opponent scoring rate. But you're getting potentially Taylor Heineke starting against behind an offensive line that will be without its 2 offensive tackles. I think the Chargers are going to try to control the ball on the ground, but without Joey Bosa on defense, I think the Chiefs are going to score lots of points and force the Chargers to pass, and so that sets up for a game plan, where I think the Chiefs can get into the backfield, create some sacks, create some turnovers, and I really like them as a play this week. My stud defense for week number 4 is the Chicago Bears. Consensus has them at 6th, but they are my top-ranked defense on the week. Now, the Bears come into this week as the 6th ranked defense on the season for me in my BOD rankings, and they get a pretty good matchup against the Rams, who give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing defenses. The Bears rank 2nd in positive expected points added by their defense. They rank 6th in turnover rate. They rank 7th in opponent scoring rate. I know the Rams just pulled off an upset over the 49ers, but they accumulated under 300 yards of total offense, and they only had 14 points heading into the 4th quarter when the 49ers tried to ice the game by running the clock out and weren't able to and let the Rams back into this game. The Rams are not going to have Cooper Kupp. They're not going to have Puka Nacua. They still have multiple starting offensive linemen injured, so I think this sets up as a good game for the Bears. I don't expect the Bears to run away with this or make it a laugher, but I think that they could get some sacks and some turnovers against a Rams offense that's really depleted, and so I am comfortable rolling the dice with the Bears as my top-ranked defense of the week, considering so many of our top defenses have really bad matchups this week. Now, before we get to the defense I'm fading, just a reminder to click below to like and subscribe to get Pick 3 DST every single week and the rest of our fantasy football content and regular football content at NBC Sports. The defense I'm fading for this week is the Tennessee Titans. Consensus has them at 8th, but I have them down at 18th on the week. Now, on one hand, the Miami Dolphins offense last week without Tua Tagovailoa looked terrible, and Skylar Thompson got hurt, so the Dolphins could be going with their third-string quarterback, even though I think there's a chance that Tyler Huntley is actually a better option for this offense if the Dolphins feel that he knows the offense well enough and will start him over Tim Boyle, so that's a situation to monitor as the week goes on. However, my ranking here is really about the Titans' defense, which I don't think is particularly good from a fantasy perspective. The Titans ranked 27th for me in my BOD rankings. They have been solid with ranking 15th in opponent scoring rate and 16th in yards allowed per carry. However, they are 31st in pass rush production grade, and they have yet to force a single turnover this season. The Dolphins still have weapons on offense with Devon Achane, with Tyreek Hill, with Jalen Waddle. I don't think the Titans are a big play defense. This strikes me as a game that could be kind of like a grinded out, ugly, low-scoring affair. And so I understand that that gives the Titans a safe floor in some people's eyes, but given the lack of sacks and the lack of turnovers, you might be looking at 4 or 5 points for the Titans, and that's really not something that I want to be chasing in fantasy. I want something that has a little bit of a higher upside, so I'm going to be fading the Titans this week. That's going to do it for week number 4 of Pick 3 DST. As a reminder, again, you can click the link below to get my full weekly DST rankings, which will update as the week goes on. You can also follow me on Twitter at SamskiNYC to get all of my written content, and I'll check you next week for another episode of Pick 3 DST. Good luck on Sunday.